Welcome back to Things and Thoughts, where I talk about my thoughts on things. And let's get it kicked off first, starting with spirituality. How I've been in my spiritual life and what I've been up to in my journey with God. I'd say, in regards to my spiritual life, I have been struggling with the belief in Jesus being God. I feel like that I've shared that before, but it's just something that I'd like to reiterate because even though I'm struggling, I'm still practicing, I'm still moving forward in my faith. Thursday nights are my life group nights. They're the nights that I look to and look forward to the most because I feel at the most peace in the presence of people that I absolutely love and sharing the word in the presence of God. And I think it's okay for you to struggle spiritually, to wrestle with questions, but to still choose to believe. I have come to the conclusion that I am almost a year of reading the Bible. Before this year, here's the Bible, right? Before this year, I had never really read the Bible at all, like ever. And I'm coming up close to on a year and finishing the entire Bible. It will be a little bit over a year because I missed a few days here and there. But I've been getting really good and disciplined at making sure that I'm spending time in the Word. And I feel like God's revealed so much to me. Like, I know it's the truth, even though I question it, even though I struggle with it, I know that it's the truth. And I've kind of thought, where do I go after here? What do I do next? I'm doing the Bible project, and yeah, I could do that again, but I want to grow and have spiritual growth. And so I came to the conclusion that I believe that my next step is running a Bible study. Now, that seems very scary and hard, but I believe that I was called here to be a leader. And I think that that means being a spiritual leader in my own life. And I have the Bible that I just showed you. And then I have a journal Bible that I bought that I was supposed to do a lot of stuff with, but I haven't. But I believe that my next step is to go back through the entire Bible. It might not be Genesis to, I don't even know which the last book of the Bible. I think it's Revelations. Let me confirm that right here. So, yeah, Revelations. I don't know if it's going to be from Genesis to Revelations directly through like I did this time, but I would like to go back and dive into each book of the Bible. Since with my dyslexia, I like to get a whole picture first. So I feel like I got a whole screenshot of the biblical narrative and who Jesus is. Absolute cinema. But now I want to go directly in, study each chapter, each book, go each chapter, maybe a chapter a day, 2 chapters a day, and form a version of studying the Bible. I want to go who wrote it, why they wrote it, who they wrote it to, who wrote it, give an explanation of it, give a background of the culture, go into a few Greek words, and then break down the passage and formulate like 3 questions from it so that I can then do that and create a study where each and every time we go into the book, we go over who wrote it, why they wrote it, a little bit of their background or history, a little bit of background of the culture, and then dive into some Greek words and then open it up to some questions after we read the chapter. Any questions or any thoughts, anything that is thought provoking to the people that we're studying with, and then go into the 3 questions I formulated. And I want to do that so that 2 things. One, I can deepen my relationship with the Bible and study it. And I'll also listen to some podcasts and do some stuff to kind of better formulate where I'm going to dive in there. And then not only that, but then I can lead people to learn how to read the Bible. So let's say I dive into the book of Genesis and then I start my Bible study. I know my stuff. Then I have somebody that's coming and coming and coming and coming. And then I can go, hey, I'm a leader that leads leaders. I think that it would be great for you to lead group this week. Why don't we meet up on X night and we can go over it and we go through, see what they've come out of the circumstance with, kind of rehearse, go over it, their thoughts from it, and then have them lead the group, because I don't want to just be someone that is a leader, but I want to be someone that leads leaders. And I think I talked about in the last thing that podcast that I was in. Relationships, when it comes to relationships, a lot of people in the Christian religion talk about how they want a spiritual leader, specifically women. They want a spiritual leader. They want a man that's a spiritual leader. They want a man that's a spiritual leader. What does that look like? It looks like a man that leads spiritually. And part of that is reading the Bible and being disciplined and leading other people to faith and helping them grow in their faith. And so I don't want to just be somebody that dives and learns my faith and leads other people, but I want to be somebody that leads people on how to create more disciples to lead people so that we continue to grow our faith and learn how to create people that are disciplined in learning the faith, how Jesus taught the apostles, and the apostles went and taught other people, how Paul taught Timothy. I want to be somebody that leads people like that. Somebody that doesn't make people blindly follow God, but makes people ask God the questions that they're struggling with so that they grow in their relationship with Him and understands how to learn and decipher the word so that they're not easily swayed. And that's something that I can struggle with. And so I want to practice learning that myself, but also while I'm leading a group of people, teach them how to lead a group of people and truly lead a group of people, not just be someone that comes up and speaks to them, but someone that comes up and teaches them how to have a conversation with God so that they can also lead people. Because if I'm just talking to people and not helping them grow, then am I really leading them, or am I just pointing them in a direction and telling them to follow? I think a leader is someone that points someone in a direction and at some point allows them to take that step forward so that they can then learn the path and then do the same thing with the next person. And so I think that's the direction that I want to step in. And I think studying the Bible, breaking it down the way that I am, I can turn it into a PDF doc to give away to people for free. I can also turn it into a book, which if people would like to purchase, they can purchase, and I can make some money off of that and grow not only spiritually, but also financially. Not that it needs to directly be that way, because that's why I want to also offer it for free. Some people will take the free stuff. Other people like to spend money and buy books. I know I'm the person that tends to like to spend the money, but I can grow myself as well spiritually, grow myself career wise in this content creation and what I'm learning, and help people grow in their discipline and lead people that lead people. So that's where I feel that I am spiritually. I'd say the last thing on that, I was talking to my therapist about, which this might contradict. Well, why do you think that you can lead people if this is something that you struggle with? But I'll go ahead and emphasize it. So I feel that when I read the Bible, it is the truth, but I struggle with lack of conviction and belief, or at least the feeling of conviction and belief. And the best way that I'd like to describe this, wearing a UFC shirt, you guys, I don't know, some of you guys can't see this. If you know me, I'm a big fan of the UFC. I talked about how I went to the White House card, but the Max Holloway Conor McGregor fight was not too long ago. And as soon as that fight got announced, everyone knew that Max Holloway was winning that fight. Why would you say? Well, because Max Holloway's been fighting the last 5 years. He's in the peak condition, fighting the best of the best. Yes, he lost his last fight. I guess technically he's won it against Conor McGregor, but before that, against Charles Oliveira, Charles do Bronx Oliveira, my favorite fighter. But Charles is a GOAT. Conor McGregor was coming back off of 5 years not fighting, a broken leg, moving up a weight class, and as allegations has it, doing some drugs, and so naturally, someone that hasn't been fighting for 5 years, let alone coming back off of an injury, going up a weight class and doing some hardcore stuff, they're gonna lose, right? I know that Max Holloway is gonna win. That's the truth. And maybe 2 rounds if McGregor was lucky. But as the fight continued, as the fight buildup continued, the week before the fight, I'm a betting man. I'm not saying that that is a good thing, but I do like to put a little bit of snack money. Instead of getting a candy, I'll put a little bit of money on a fight. And it's Max Holloway versus McGregor. And I know the truth is I put money on Max Holloway. That's how I make money. Max Holloway is going to win. But a week before the fight, man, Conor McGregor starts talking and chirping and chirping and chirping. And I'm like, Conor McGregor is going to win this fight. Who cares? He hasn't fought in 5 years, coming off of a broken leg, going up a weight class, doing hardcore drugs, allegedly. Conor McGregor is going to win this fight. He's going to win this fight. Then he's going to go fight Islam for the 170-pound belt. And then he might get Khabib to come back and fight Khabib and win. And it's going to be a victorious run for Conor McGregor. My heart was burning. My passion was there. I was ready to take out a loan and bet it on Conor McGregor. How I feel my relationship with God is I know the truth. I know that it is the truth. I know that, metaphorically speaking, right? Max Holloway is God, the Bible. I know that's the truth. But the feeling, the belief, the conviction that I had in Conor McGregor winning, I don't feel that conviction. I struggle with that conviction for saying that Jesus is Lord. I'm not saying it's not true, and I'm choosing to believe it with my actions. I know that I can't earn my salvation, but I do believe that your actions are an indication of your belief to show you're saved, to prove that you believe, right? It doesn't help you get saved, but it shows your beliefs. But I struggle with that conviction. I struggle with that fire. You know, people go to like church camp and they're fired up, but I struggle with taking a bullet for God, you know, having that feeling that I'm going to go to heaven. I was talking to my therapist. It's like, I don't feel like I'm going to go to heaven. I don't know if I have that belief. Like, I know it's the truth, but I don't know if I have that conviction in my heart. And so it's something that I really want God to change. And I come to the conclusion that I'm going to choose to believe for right now. I'm going to pray upon God to change that conviction in my heart. And if I die unsaved, but God can use me to save people, then that's what I'm going to follow. I just believe putting myself deeper and deeper, closer and closer to God, putting myself into positions to learn. That's what I'm going to do, because it's not like God hasn't touched my heart and that I don't feel the Holy Spirit. It's just I struggle with that conviction. God's changed me. I know that. But this is just an area that I struggle. And so, like I said, you might be thinking, well, why do you think you should lead a Bible study group? It's because I feel called to do it. I felt called to do it since the beginning of the year, and I struggle with that, but I feel more called to do it now. I feel called to teach people and to study in that capacity. I think that I'd be really great at doing so. And I think that even with that lack of conviction, God can use me. God can use me to move people closer to Him. And who am I to not do it? Maybe it's doing this thing that builds that conviction in my heart. And at worst, I die and I don't go to heaven. But God was able to use me to lead others there. Maybe that's the wrong feeling, but that's the direction that I feel like I'm moving towards. Next, fitness. Fitness is getting kind of like, lately, my voice just cracked, so I apologize for any of you that went into your ear. But I've struggled with fitness, with strength training and building muscle and building weight. Honestly, I've completely fallen off. I'm not doing the hard work, especially when I don't feel like it. It's been such a struggle. And so to get myself like pumped and motivated, I've decided to do the 26-26-26 challenge. This is a challenge that I created because my 26th birthday is coming up very soon, August 18th. So I decided I would train 26 days to run 26 miles on my 26th birthday and have a bunch of people pull up. And I've been doing good. Today's been my first rest day of those 26 days, day 11. I actually have to make an IG video and post that. Jordan Devontae Harris, shout out. Go follow me on IG. So yeah, so I'm going to be doing that. Not super great idea. Somebody that's trying to become an ultra running coach, I would highly not recommend doing it, even though it's a marathon. just the amount of training, it's really stupid. My health insurance is likely going to be gone at the end of the month because I'm turning 26. So really, really stupid idea. But I'm hoping a bunch of people will pull up. I'm hoping that I'll be reinvigorated, and then hopefully I can get out there after I'm done and go back to running about 3 days a week and focus on eating well and go back to lifting. And I just would really like to get to 155, 165 pounds. But I'll be honest, the discipline is not there. I've got to figure it out. I'd like to say that like I'm perfect in all these areas and I do so well. This is an area that I'd really like to improve in, but to be honest, it's what I want, not what I like to do. And what I like to do is eat a bunch of crap because that's what I do. I can eat all the stuff that I like, right? I can eat acai and eat prosciutto when my stomach feels like crap, but I tend to not move in the direction that I'm supposed to, especially when it comes to strength training. I tell everybody find an area of fitness that you love and work on it and just keep yourself moving and activate it. And that's running for me. I would love to continue to just run and do running, but I really want to get to 155 pounds, 165 pounds, be a more muscular version of myself, become a more attractive version of myself, a bigger version of myself, or at least what I think would be more attractive. And yeah, I just struggle there. But the right now running, that's where I'm at. I got to get better in a bunch of other areas. Personal wise, I recently asked someone out kind of. I asked them to hang out. I found this person in a group that I was going to very interesting. I found them attractive. They seemed like a really cool person. They still seem like a really cool person. And I eventually worked up the courage after I figured out that they didn't have a boyfriend to ask them out. And they said no in the politest way possible. And there's probably indications that it was a no, but it felt like there was something there. So I thought that I at least would attempt to see if we could go and hang out and kind of get to know the person more. And when they said no, it really, really hurt. I get why they said no. They didn't want to leave me on. I don't think there's a really nice way to say no, but they said it in the nicest way somebody possibly could. And I was talking to my therapist about it. And I was talking about how it's just crazy how the emotion. They asked, my therapist asked, how did I feel afterwards? And so I said, I didn't feel numb, but it felt like it didn't really feel like a feeling. Like it was just like, okay. And then I walked away from the situation. And then I was trying to process, hold back like emotions, tears when I walked away. And then I had some like ugly feelings or emotions rise up. Like I've watched a lot of like red pill stuff in the past. I always like to keep my mind open to different things. And so I watched Andrew Tate and a bunch of these other people and not necessarily him, even though I don't like a lot of stuff that he says. I think he is a smart person, but just don't really like a lot of the relationship stuff that he says. But there's a bunch of guys in like the pickup artist community or online that when they get rejected, they're like, "Oh, you son of a like I wasn't even that attracted to you. You're ugly. You're this. You're that." Like I had these emotions that arise that I didn't like, and I felt it was ugly. And I was talking to my therapist, and I was like, I acknowledge these emotions that came up, and I was able to feel them, but not act on them. And it was weird because I just don't see myself as that type of person. And I feel like these emotions arise not really because I probably felt that way about the other person, but more of what the other person said and the way that I felt. And those emotions that arise were more of a reflection or an indication of how I feel about myself, the inadequacies that I feel about myself, feel like I'm inadequate, like I'm not attractive enough, or I'm not enough of a man, or I'm not someone that people really want to hang out with. It just really felt like it highlighted my inadequacies and my judgment towards myself with those emotions that arise. And I still feel that somewhat. I think that if I was really, really secure, I would be like, okay, this person's just not that into me. And that's all right. And I did, but just the emotions that arise, I realized that they were like repressed. And if I never had a girlfriend, I feel like it would be significantly worse because I wouldn't have that experience of what that feels like. And it just, it's interesting. I think part of that is why I talk about like spiritual leadership because most of the people that I'm attracted to, I think, tend to have a higher sense or a level belief in God or be farther along spiritually than myself. At least my opinion. I tend to be attracted to people that are very dedicated to things. And sometimes I feel like I lack that dedication, hence this podcast only being on episode 3. And it made me really highlight different areas that I need to work in. One being a spiritual leader, another one being my career and taking myself to the next level there, being able to step into the fear of coaching and trying to pursue a pathway in that direction. I'm supposed to have been doing stuff for the last few days and I haven't. My TV's right here behind me. I'm supposed to take that off the wall. So by the next episode, if that's not taken off the wall, if I don't say that's taken off the wall, then you guys got to attack me in the comment section to take it off. But eliminate distractions, remove the distractions from my life instead of just adding things into my life, remove things from my life so that I'm not watching Naruto all the time. Such a great series. But those are the steps that I feel like I need to take in the direction. And I feel like the feelings that arise were feelings of inadequacy, but it doesn't necessarily mean that those inadequacies were incorrect. It doesn't mean that the shame can't motivate me to go to the next area. And I don't think that all of my motivation should be shame based, but I don't think that shame is necessarily a wrong thing if it is a direct indication that something needs to be changed that actually needs to be changed. There are judgments in areas that I judge myself that maybe a necessary harsh critique or judgment doesn't need to be there, but I do feel like that I can be lazy in these areas. And before asking this person out, we were having a conversation as a group, and her and another girl were talking about how, you know, they feel like guys are trying to like almost live off of them and that they're working like multiple jobs and doing a lot of things. And these guys are just trying to take. I don't think that like I'm necessarily that person. I think that like I'm willing to buy stuff for people and I'm willing to make progress and I'm willing to go out there and I can be chivalrous, but I do think that I need to grow in my spiritual discipline, especially like since the level of woman that I'm attracted to has such a deep relationship with God. And that's something that I need to continue to work on and develop. And then, same thing career wise, like, how am I supposed to support a family if I can't even support myself? And not to say that should prevent me from getting into a relationship, because I think that trying to wait until you're fully there is just it's ludicrous, even though it's something that I try to do. I think that you can build and develop and grow as a person. Like a woman wants someone that has an indication that they are taking a step forward, that they have a path, that they have a direction that they are going towards. But when you ask someone where they're going towards and they don't say that they have a direction, or they say that they have a direction, but they're not indicating that they're taking steps in that direction, you can't see the fruit of the person, then of course the woman's not going to be attracted to you. You're not doing anything. So those are some areas that I feel that I need to grow in. And I feel like this rejection or getting told no has kind of helped me indicate the path that I need to move down and a bit more seriously that I need to take it so that if this person is ever interested, which is hard to think about, but if they are interested or if I end up developing feelings for someone else down the line, that I've taken steps in the right direction, that I'm moving towards a pathway to build myself and continue to build myself. And I feel like I am that type of person, but I tend to fall to fear and I'd rather fall to failure than to fear. That's one of my principles that I've developed for myself, one of the only real principles that I developed for myself. And I think that with my relationship with God, it's really pushed me to take those steps forward and to dive into the things that I'm afraid of. So, also watch Spider-Man and the Odyssey, two really great movies. The Odyssey was fantastic. I thought that the idea of the gift of the Trojan horse being a gift in disguise and that getting rid of civility in the world was really crazy during that period of time. Obviously, it's fictional, but just something to think about. Another thing was I'm going to go full spoilers. It's 3,000 years old if you haven't seen it. Also, Spider-Man will be after this, so if you haven't seen it, just skip this section. But with the Odyssey, it's funny, right? Because Odysseus does everything that he can to fight against his own destiny, everything in his power. And I feel like it's so often that we try to fight against our destinies, right? It took him 10 years to do a journey that should have taken about 3 weeks. And it's because he did everything to fight against his destiny. And then eventually he surrenders to the gods. He surrenders to fate, to destiny, to the gods, and ends up where he's supposed to be and gets there almost instantaneously. I think very often in our own lives, we use all of our energy to fight against destiny instead of surrender to the destiny or the destination that God has for us. And we take 10 years to do something that God could have had us do in 3 weeks. And what if we just used all that energy that we used to fight against our fear, to fight against the destiny that God has planned for us, and stepped into it and used all of that energy that we used to fight against it to fight towards it? Then it wouldn't take 10 years. It would take 3 weeks. And when you surrender to the will of God, it's crazy how scary it can be, but how much He has to offer for us and how much more impactful our lives can be on other people because God's plan is greater than our own. And then Spider-Man, no, Brand New Day was absolutely crazy. Loved it. I cried 4 times during that film. Again, spoilers. When him and Ned, just their friendship, I think I took like two really main things away from it. One is change. Change is inevitable. And it's kind of going back to the Odyssey, but change is something that we are so afraid of and we use all of our energy to fight against. And in the movie, that's what he's doing. Like he gets this ability because he's put himself away that he's metamorphosizing into a stronger manifestation of a spider. He's becoming a better person. He's becoming a stronger person. And he does everything he can to fight against that change. And inevitably, he gets to a breaking point, a point where he can either falter and die, or he can step into the fear and become the person that he was meant to be, become the person that he's been catalyzed into becoming. And inevitably, he steps into that fear and becomes the stronger person for it. I think very often in our lives, we wait till a breaking point till we have to decide, okay, I've been fighting against my destiny. I've been fighting against my destiny. I've been fighting against everything in my power to change. And now I'm at the point where if I don't change, I'm going to die. If I don't change, everything around me is going to be completely shattered. And then we step into becoming the strongest person that we possibly can. And it took so much longer. If we were just able to step into that thing that we were afraid of, we would have become the person that we were meant to be so much faster. And that was one of the key takeaways that I took away from Spider Man. The second one is loneliness. Spider Man, Peter chooses not to go back to his friends, not to go back to MJ because he doesn't want to hurt them out of fear of losing them. I think very often in our lives, we choose because we're afraid to lose something, we choose to step away from something so that we don't lose it. And in choosing to step away from that thing, we ultimately end up choosing to lose it. And we prevent ourselves from being the thing that we want to be. We lose the thing that we're trying to protect, that we're trying not to lose, because we choose to step away from it versus allowing it to enter our lives. So the choices that you have when you make a choice out of fear of losing something. So yeah, that was the two key takeaways. Absolutely love the movie. Tom Holland, fantastic, fantastic. His work with John Bernthal as the Punisher, absolutely crazy. They're just the dynamic between that relationship is so cool as well. They were on a movie 7 years before this, and John filmed Tom's audition tape for Spider-Man, and Tom filled John's audition tape for the Punisher. It's just surreal to see the destiny of those 2 come together in a blockbuster movie, and not only that, but also the Odyssey. All 3 of them, Zendaya as well being in there. Tom also said when he was a kid that he wanted to marry Zendaya, and 99.9% sure that that has happened. So just crazy what happens when you put in effort and work. Yeah. Last but not least, coaching. Coaching. I need to step into that. I would like to try to get some sort of client before the end of the year, even if I don't coach a full athlete before the end of the year. I know that was my goal, but I just don't know if that's manageable at this point in time or realistic. But I would like to get an athlete by the end of the year. And that means that, again, me getting rid of my TV, moving out the distractions from my life and my work. We're going to be going through a book, The Atomic Habits. I've already gone through Atomic Habits, but one of the things that James Clear talks about is not only putting in habits, but also removing other habits. And so my sleep gets destroyed because of my TV, because of my action to watch it and choose not to turn it off. So TV is just one of those things that I need to remove from my room so that I can have less of a distraction. I'd have to go downstairs to watch it. And we have a bunch of people living in my house. So, and there's chaos down there. So I'd rather come upstairs and I'll try to make the wall behind me over here look better and maybe be able to get some more stuff to like film some more stuff and make it more fun. But coaching specifically, I need to dedicate like an hour a day for the next month to learn how to create the training sequences and create a plan so that I feel more confident so that I can step in the capability of coaching people. Because inevitably, I feel like that I'm here to teach people and to help people become better spiritually, become better physically, financially, and just overall human being. I feel like that's what God has called me to do. And so I need to step into those areas of fears in my own life. And I think this is a first direction to help coaching people. I think doing the Bible study will be another direction to help coaching people spiritually and creating those relationships and helping creating disciples of God. So yeah, a lot of different stuff, but this is episode 3 of Thoughts and Things. Things episode 3 of Things and Thoughts where I talk about my thoughts on things. And as I sign off all of my Instagram videos, I'll sign off this one. Be who you want to become in order to become who you want to be. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.